Yo, what's good? It's your man 100 Grand Ross for The Rock Never Stops. Today I want to do a video about the Charlotte Hornets and what their blueprint for success is going to look like next season. It's going to be the tank. Diving into that in this video. If you like this video, smash the like button for me, hit subscribe and the bell for notifications. Definitely appreciate all the love and support. I really do. You know, many times we think of success in terms of this like singular outlook that it's going to look the same for every team. And to some degree, especially in competitive sports, it does have a general focus. People want to win more games. People want to get better. But for the Charlotte Hornets this year, it's almost a silver lining, I think, just for their organization in general. Next season is going to be about tanking. And when I say tanking, I don't mean just the Sam Hinkie, just bottom out, play a bunch of G League guys. No, this is strategic tanking that teams have figured out how to do in a very efficient and effective way, right? This is the tanking where you deliberately develop guys who aren't necessarily ready to contribute to winning, but have enough upside to warrant them getting the minutes and the playing time that allows them to actually figure out how to apply themselves to winning basketball in the NBA. Now, that might seem like a mouthful, right? It might seem like an arduous task for most organizations. But the Charlotte Hornets are actually primed for this type of a tank. Let me start off by saying the past two seasons making the play-in has been absolute fool's gold for the Charlotte Hornets. They are not a playoff team. They have never been a playoff team, right? Miles Bridges is not your number one, number two, or even really number three option for a championship team. And he gets exposed year after year. LaMelo Ball, similarly, is not your number one or number two scoring option for a championship team. And he also got exposed year after year in the play-in tournament. These are not guys who you can rely upon to create shots for others at a high level. But this season will be a great opportunity for the Charlotte Hornets to figure out just who is. And so without further ado, I'm going to dive into that now. The players that I am specifically referring to is first and foremost James Bouknight. James Bouknight is he almost has like the perfect name for his style of play. He's what you refer to as a walking bucket. He has scoring instincts that allow him to create shots for himself at an extremely high level, combined with the physical attributes of his athleticism, his quickness. He has a great shooting touch. He's definitely a three-level scorer, but he's somebody who also has this elite, almost irrational confidence that allows them to bring all those things together. Now, unfortunately, last season, he wasn't given the time of day. He was not given consistent minutes to actually figure out what he can be at this level. And this is where it's going to start. James Bouknight needs to move into the starting lineup in that starting shooting guard position. Terry Rozier needs to be moved to the bench as the backup point guard, sixth man for this team. Now, it might be a tough adjustment for Terry Rozier, but it is his future with this organization. If he wants to go to another team, hey, you know what? I'm all for clearing the books of almost all these veterans. There's not a single veteran I see on this team. And when I say veteran, I mean, 4, 5, or 6 seasons in the league or more between Mason Plumlee, Terry Rozier, Kelly Oubre, or Gordon Hayward that deserves more playing time than any of these younger guys. I can't see one, right? And so if at any point in time they want to clear the books and take Terry Rozier, package him with Gordon Hayward, or even Kelly Oubre, and say, hey, let's go try to get a pick from somebody, ship them out to someone who wants to win now, and we'll just get an asset back. Hey, I am all for that. But the first move is to start James Bouknight. Why? Because not only is he a better scoring option or has more scoring potential than I think almost anyone else on this roster, but he also offers more size to be able to be a better defender on the perimeter next to LaMelo Ball. We know that Terry Rozier is not going to put the clamps on anybody on defense, right? I think he had some of that energy leaving Louisville, but by the time he left Boston, that was kind of an afterthought in his mind. he wasn't trying to apply himself at a high level defensively. And I think for good measure, this team hasn't been under James Borrego a defensive minded team. But with Steve Clifford coming in, he is definitely going to hold these guys accountable to playing great defense. And I think he's going to start with having the size and athleticism on the perimeter to really begin to have a better defensive identity at the point of attack, right? The next step is going to be figuring out who do you want to slide into that small forward position. Now, as much as I like JT Thor and Jalen McDaniels, I don't know if they're ready. I do really like Cody Martin, and it might seem like a kind of a out of the blue left field kind of suggestion to start Cody Martin, but I think Cody Martin can be a culture setting guy. I think he could be that Dylan Brooks type of culture guy, that Patrick Beverly, that Draymond Green type of starter who really brings everyone together in a sense of identity and what they're trying to accomplish night in and night out. He's somebody who can guard the other team's best perimeter offensive player. He's somebody who is going to dive for loose balls, get in there to get second chance rebounds. He's going to make the extra cuts. He'll be unselfish, swinging the ball. I think he can really bring together a starting lineup, right? And so for me, I would start Cody Martin. Of course, you have P.J. Washington there as well. And I think Cody Martin can also help bring out the best in P.J. Washington's defensive acumen. Now, the center position. This is where it gets really sticky. You have Mason Plumlee there. He's been a solid veteran, but definitely unspectacular, right? He struggles with finishing around the rim unless he's dunking. And his jump shot just really hasn't come along. And I don't think he's going to get any better as he progresses. He's definitely also, for me, on the trading block, right? Right now you have Nick Richards and Mark Williams, right, who are ready to see some definite minutes as a NBA center. But training camp for me is going to kind of weed out who is the best option out of those three. I have and I would communicate this to Mason Plumlee immediately. There is no incentive to make sure that he starts. I think that he can be another culture setting guy. He's tough, he's physical, but he's not necessarily a part of this team's long-term outlook. And so what I would do is say from jump, whoever the best man is going to start. The next guy is going to be the backup. The next guy is going to be the third string guy. And it might end up being Mason Plumlee, Nick Richards, and then Mark Williams in that order initially. But I think by mid-season, you're going to see this team have to make a decision to pivot out from Mason Plumlee and give Nick Richards and Mark Williams all those minutes so that they can figure out who is the best one for their future. And I think it might end up being Mark Williams. Now, when you look at the rest of this bench, Jalen McDaniels, Kai Jones, JT Thor. This is a wonderful opportunity for the Charlotte Hornets to get very experimental, much like the Cleveland Cavaliers did, starting 3 7-footers. I would like to see Jalen McDaniels, JT Thor, and Kai Jones get major minutes off the bench. And this may be actually what squeezes out Mason Plumlee altogether out of the rotation, along with Kelly Oubre and Gordon Hayward. These are guys that should almost be getting the Oklahoma City Thunder treatment, where they just sit you down for a whole season and say, hey, look, we love you, we're going to pay you, but we're not going to play you, because you're not a part of the future outlook that we have for this team. Because JT Thor, 6'10", versatile forward. Kai Jones, 6'11", uber athletic, versatile forward. And Jalen McDaniels, another 6'10", versatile forward and wing player, needs minutes. These guys need minutes, right? And so sacrificing their minutes so that some veteran like a Kelly Oubre or Gordon Hayward can play, and you're still not even going to make the play-in, or if you do, you're going to get knocked out of the play-in again, makes no sense. It makes no sense at all. And I even like Bryce McGowens as somebody who can see maybe that, third string point guard, backup point guard type of role to get some more minutes as a playmaker. And also definitely some backup shooting guard position. Like, this is where this team needs to become experimental, not so much in being willing to compromise its foundational core principles, but it needs to be experimental in terms of lineups so that it can see what guys can do and give them an opportunity to succeed at it. LaMelo Ball, I know it might be frustrating to be taking a huge step back, but this is an opportunity for you to gel with these other young guys, which I think you already have in terms of chemistry, liking these guys, but you're going to have to adjust your expectations. You're not going to be competing night in and night out. What we're going to need to see here from you is more leadership, efficiency, and getting these guys involved, right? We don't need you to take over games. I know there's going to be opportunities for you to, but that's not going to be the focus, right? If it's a closeout situation, sure, go for it. Let's see if you've been able to work on your half court shot creation to be able to take over at the end of the fourth quarter in order to try to win a game. I don't mind that. Even though I want to see James Bouknight get some opportunities to do that as well, I wouldn't mind seeing that. But what I don't want to see is you becoming a ball chucker and shooting the ball the whole game, 20 plus shots, trying to shoot your team into a win. That's not what we need to see, right? We need to see these young guys have an opportunity. And this is the best way to do it. Now, the other side of this is that I think that the Charlotte Hornets dodged a huge bullet. I mean, talk about a silver lining in a tragic situation with Miles Bridges having these charges against him for domestic violence. It's a horrible situation. You never want to see a player in this type of a situation. It's a horrible thing to even imagine a man doing, putting hands on somebody, putting hands on a woman to this extent to where now, and not even to this extent, let me take that back. Putting hands on a woman, period. All right. It's terrible. It's deplorable. And it's a horrible, horrible thing to hear somebody doing. Right. And whatever happens in the fallout of this is what it is. But at the same time, for the Charlotte Hornets as an organization, they dodged the bullet of potentially giving somebody a max contract who absolutely positively should never receive a max contract. If you followed me before, I said straight up, Miles Bridges is the next Richard Jefferson. He's somebody who looks really good with a dynamic playmaking, facilitating point guard. He is not somebody who can be your number one, number two, or number three scoring option on a championship team. And when he gets to a championship team, it's going to be revealed. He's a role player. He'll get out in transition. He's moving without the ball. Second chance shots on the boards. And he's going to be switchable, versatile on defense. He's a role player. But unfortunately, because of the season he had last year, he looked like he could potentially be a star. And because of what other teams might offer him, it might have forced Charlotte's hand to give him way more money than he really deserves if they're trying to build a championship team. This could have put them in a terrible hole, all right, when it comes to their salary cap. So at this point, they get to now defer having to make this decision. Give him a contract that's more probably undermining his value that he even has right now because of his situation, and allow them to pivot and develop the rest of these guys so that when he returns, he's actually able to assume a role that's better suited for his skill set. But as always, I want to know what you all think. What do you think the blueprint for success is for the Charlotte Hornets next season? Let me know if you agree with my takes or disagree. I try to respond to all the comments. And I'm going to holler at y'all next time. Like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and I'm out. Peace.